Hey y'all, and welcome to PITW. My name is Brian. In today's session, Tom Homan holds his own against a member of the so-called Socialist Squad, pushing back with enough conviction to make her seemingly regret everything she's ever said, right in her own committee. When asked if he had a response to the discussion, Homan jumped in by addressing Acting Chairman J. Paul's comments about the Trump administration moving funds around to increase detention bed capacity. He reminded the committee that such reallocation, known as reprogramming, also happened frequently under the Obama administration. Homan noted he was present during that time and recalled no hearings or outrage when funds were shifted within DHS. He went on to point out that the much-criticized cages were actually built during Obama's presidency. Under that administration, they expanded family detention from 100 to over 3,000 beds to accommodate the surge at the border in FY14 and FY15. Congress, he said, was quick to fund those expansions then. In FY 2012, under Obama, 409,000 people were removed, almost double the number removed in the previous year. Yet no hearings were held on that either. Homan's point was clear. Many of the current criticisms are politically selective and ignore the historical precedents set by prior administrations.
Hey y'all, and welcome into PolitiBrawl. My name is Brian, and Tom Homan holds his own against the Socialist Squad member, even to the point of making her regret everything she has ever said in her own committee.
Is there anything you'd like to respond to what you've heard today?
Yeah, I'd like to respond to Acting Chairman J. Paul and your comment about the Trump administration moving money around for more detention beds. I'd like to remind you, under the Obama administration, we did that most of the years he was president. We moved money around DHS. It's called reprogramming. We did that under the Obama administration. I don't remember any hearings on that. And also, I'd like to remind you that under the Obama administration, you're quick to point out that the cages were built under Obama administration. I was there. Family detention, we had 100 family beds under Obama administration. We built 3,000 more. So when there was a surge in FY14 and FY15 on the border, Congress was quick to give all the money we needed to build detention facilities, get transportation contracts. We reprogrammed money out of the majority of the years she was president. That was fine. Under Obama administration, FY12,
This is about transparency, so let's be factual, Tom Homan asserted. After being cut off with a reminder that his time had expired, he continued pushing back, saying, "You can't call out the Trump administration for policies that also occurred under Obama. That's dishonest, it's pathetic, and it's sad." He was absolutely unapologetic in calling out what he saw as hypocrisy from the so-called Socialist Squad member. Homan pointed out that even if she didn't like the policies under Obama, her silence at the time, by her own admission, amounted to compliance. "You were compliant with the kids in cages because you said nothing," he declared. He emphasized that he didn't make the rules, the left did, and now they need to start playing by their own standards. The tension escalated as the committee chairwoman attempted to regain control, reminding Homan that she, not he, controlled the time. She acknowledged not liking the policy under Obama either, but reminded him that he had once testified in support of Obama's priorities enforcement program before the Senate Judiciary Committee in 2016, a program that took a different approach to immigration enforcement. Homan, eager to respond, asked repeatedly for the opportunity to speak, pressing forward despite procedural interruptions. "Of course not at all. I want to
remove 409,000 people, half of what was removed last year. There was no hearings on that. So this is about transparency. Let's be factual about it."
The time of the gentleman has expired. Since you did address some comments at me, I'll just say that I didn't like it under the Obama administration either. In fact,
but be honest with the American people. You can't point out faults in the Trump administration when it happened under the Obama administration. That's dishonesty. It's pathetic and it's sad.
He is absolutely right to call out this Socialist Squad member. Good grief. The fact that you didn't like it under the Obama administration but said nothing. In your own words, ma'am, that's compliance. You are compliant with the kids in the cages because you said nothing. Hey, I didn't make these rules, the left did. You need to start playing by your own rules, and that's exactly what Tom Homan is doing here, and it's going to get even worse for her from this point on.
Mr. Homan, I control the time, and I am the chairwoman of the committee. Thank you for respecting that. I didn't like it under the Obama administration, and I'll remind you, Mr. Homan, that you also testified before Congress in support of the Obama's Priorities Enforcement Program before the Senate Judiciary Committee on May 19th, 2016, which had a very different approach.
Well, can I respond to that? Can I respond to that?
No.
Of course not.
With
And I want to give you some time, but I do want to ask one quick question, and I want to make one quick statement. I find it very offensive that anybody would compare any federal employee, frankly, to someone who, the Gestapo or running Nazi concentration camps. That is very offensive. I have 15 seconds. And
I'll give you some time, but I do want to make one quick statement, the speaker began. I find it very offensive that anyone would compare a federal employee to someone from the Gestapo or who ran Nazi concentration camps. That's extremely offensive. With just 15 seconds remaining, he yielded his time, prompting a pointed response. Thank you for saying that. I wish someone in Democratic leadership would say that out loud. The rebuttal intensified. You want to know why there are 50,000 people in detention? Why we've had over 1 million illegal entries into the United States? You want to know why we have these issues? Because you have failed to secure the border. You have failed to work with this president to close the 3 loopholes we've been asking you to fix for 2 years. You want to know why this crisis exists? You need to look in the mirror. You have failed the American people by not securing the border and refusing to close the loopholes, the speaker asserted. Representative Jayapal might try to distance herself from Barack Obama, but she...
I yield it to you.
Thank you for saying that. I wish somebody in Democratic leadership would say that out loud. Look, you want to know why there's 50,000 people in detention? You want to know why we have 1 million illegal entries in the United States? You want to know why we have these issues? Because you have failed to secure the border. You have failed to work with this president to close the 3 loopholes we've asked for 2 years to close. So if you want to know why this issue exists, you need to look in the mirror. You have failed American people for not securing the border and closing loopholes.
Mr. Homan.
So, Representative Jayapal might be able to distance herself from Barack Obama, but she can't distance herself from her own failures during the Trump administration. All Congress has to do is basically do what Tom keeps on recommending. Close these 3 loopholes, and then we'll be able to solve the major problems. And of course, she refuses to do so because it's the only way leftists can show patriotism, by showing that America is so great that we can take on all these immigrants, when the reality is we should probably take another look at, I don't know, closing the border.
Look,
Please respect the chair and the authority of the chair. The time of the gentleman has expired.
I've asked you politely to let me go beyond my time, and you let other people go beyond their time, but not to Tom Homan. He don't get to go beyond his time.
Mr. Homan, we have approved an agreement between the Republicans and the Democrats with the ranking member. We increased the time of one member of Congress who was interrupted by a protest. That is done with the approval of the ranking member. Please respect the chair's authority.
I respect the chair's authority, but the chair...
Mr. Homan!
You work for me. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a taxpayer. You work for me.
The witness will suspend.
She can't escape her own failures. During the Trump administration, all Congress had to do was follow what Tom Homan has consistently recommended, close 3 simple loopholes, and we could have addressed the major issues at the border. But of course, she refuses, because for the left, the only way they can display patriotism is by showcasing how generous America can be by taking on everyone, even when the system is buckling. Maybe it's time we take another look at something radical, like actually closing the border. As tensions rose, the chair intervened. Please respect the chair and the authority of the chair. The gentleman's time has expired. The speaker pushed back. I've asked politely to go beyond my time. You've let others go over, but not Tom Homan. He doesn't get to go beyond his time. The exchange underscored the deep divisions on the issue as the chair moved to reassert control. Mr. Homan, we have approved an agreement between that you stayed silent while it was happening. You claim now that you didn't like the policies under Obama. But where was the outrage then? Where were the hearings, the protests, the bold condemnation?
Tom Homan isn't just a tree planted by the river. That man not only shall not be moved, but he's going to move everyone else around him when they get in his way. He doesn't just sit there and take the attack, he pushes back, and does so technically, while respecting the chair despite Jayapal throwing a little fit that he didn't, the reality is she's not used to any proper pushback, and the moment you give a lefty any push at all, they're going to feel very, very threatened. Bless their hearts. But you know what? The annoying thing about this video, about this whole exchange, is that leftists and socialists like Jayapal can sit there with a straight face and tell you, well, they didn't like Barack Obama either. And okay, on paper, I can give them that. I can understand where you're coming from on that. You know what I can't give you? I can't give you any leeway when there are real, legitimate problems that you have just buried your head in the sand on. And when you come out and say, well, we didn't like Obama, you have a chance to fix major problems right here, right now. The Democrats at this time had control of Congress, and they could have easily, and I mean easily, fixed some major issues, but they can't, and they won't. And it's a very dumb reason for doing so, but I think the worst thing out of all of this is Jayapal has the guts to sit there and basically berate a witness and another member of Congress while she's the one with the gavel in her hand. I think that's the worst part, when she just gets so angry that she just starts gaveling because how dare a witness tell her the truth to her face in her own committee. Folks, that's just the height of hubris. And Tom Homan is one of those people who can come in there, tell you what you need to hear, and walk away smelling like a rose because the truth always prevails. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed this segment here on PolitiBrawl. Until the next time, y'all have a good one.
The truth is, if you really had an issue with it, you would have said something at the time. But instead, silence reigned. And that silence equals complicity. That's what makes this whole thing so frustrating. It's not just about who is in office. It's about selective outrage and political convenience. Tom Homan wasn't having any of it, and rightfully so. He laid out the facts, drew the parallels, and reminded everyone that enforcement isn't a partisan issue. It's a matter of national responsibility. His pushback wasn't just about defending policy. It was about demanding consistency, transparency, and accountability from those who pretend to stand on moral high ground only when it suits them. 1. Take care of yourselves, and remember, accountability doesn't stop being important just because your side is in charge. If we want real change, if we want a functioning immigration system, if we want leaders who actually solve problems instead of yelling over witnesses and grandstanding in committee rooms, then we need to stop tolerating double standards. Tom Homan stood his ground and reminded everyone that facts matter, history matters, and leadership means taking responsibility. Not rewriting the past or pretending your silence wasn't complicity. This has been another episode of PITW. I'm Brian, and I'll catch y'all next time. Be bold, be honest, and don't be afraid to call it like it is. Peace out.